Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today I'm going to be asking what is your favorite season of the Third Doctor era? Now, not necessarily what you think is objectively the best season, but what is your favorite season? Because those are possibly two different things. It's a little hard of it's kind of hard of a choice for me. It's a weird sentence. And it's mostly between season 7 and season 10. Now, I would probably say season 10 for me. I like season 7. I would say season 7, but it has ambassadors dragging it down. Because ambassadors, and here's the thing about ambassadors. I've talked before about ambassadors on the channel. You know, it's kind of the Third Doctor's Power of Kroll for me. I've really lashed into it. But, kind of like Power of Kroll, actually. I don't mind the story itself. Matter of fact, I actually like the plot of Ambassadors of Death. The idea that these aliens are actually friendly, that they don't mean harm, that they do come in peace. I love that because it's actually not done a lot in science fiction. It's kind of some of the humans that are the assholes of the story and are trying to start war because aliens are coming. They must be evil. I know because I've seen it in all those movies and shows, you know? It's kind of like the lesson from Galaxy 4 all over again, except for the lesson being, the grotesque reals are the good guys and the attractive blondes are the bad people, which is something I could have told people anyway. It's more, the aliens are actually the peaceful people, and us humans, at least some of us, are the terrible, terrible people. You gotta watch them. I actually like that plot, and some of the stuff that happens in the story I like. The problem with Ambassadors is that it's just too long. It is a terrible 7-parter. If it had been 4 parts, maybe even 5 parts, it would have been fine. But I lose interest and get so bored. I call it the Ambassadors of Bored to Death. Because that's right up there. It's like the exact opposite of Inferno, which uses its 7 episodes perfectly. It never drags. It never feels like it's padded, even though I know the whole parallel universe thing was padding to extend it. It never feels like that. It never feels like I'm watching filler and padding. It feels, of all the 6 parts and longer, as Inferno is 7 parts, of all of them, it never feels like it was stretched to fill a time. And Inferno is just paced perfectly. And I love that. If I sit down and start watching Inferno, I'm going to watch all of Inferno. That's just how it is. Whereas Ambassadors, man, that's a struggle to get through. That is a battle. I'm doing this for the YouTube channel when I do a review on that when the box set comes out. And because of that, it suffers. Now, I love Spearhead from Space. Spearhead is amazing for so many reasons. Silurians is a little long as well, but the ending makes it worth it. That is a story that I will sit through all 7 episodes because I love the ending. That last conversation between Liz and the Doctor is so well done, so well scripted, so well acted, so well shot. I really, really love that last scene where it basically shows again the humans doing the bad thing at the end and the Doctor just being appalled. And the rest of the episode is fine. It does a lot of neat stuff in it, especially with the virus wiping out people like in the train station and stuff. Scenery that's very relevant today, honestly, with everything going on in the world. I actually remember watching Silurians a few months back, during all of this and being like, it's kind of scary. It's a good story, but that ending really makes it worth it. But I think I'm going to say season 10, because there's not a single story in season 10 that I just don't like. Now, my least favorite would be Planet of the Daleks, which is my least favorite Pertwee Dalek story and my least favorite 70s Dalek story. But it's still not bad. Again, I find it a little uninteresting. I get a little bored watching it. It has some nice moments. I love any time Bernard shows up in a guest role, so it's nice to see him back. I love that John has his very famous, iconic line about courage isn't a matter of not being frightened, I love that. That's a beautiful line. So I enjoy that in it. It's still a fun watch when I'm in the mood to watch something I haven't done in a while. It's also probably the only one that's gotten updated effects where I prefer the original effects. I mean, I can watch either one, but if I'm gonna watch it, I probably just watch it with the original effects. Pretty much every other story, if there's optional updated effects, I want to watch it with the optional updated effects. But this one, I prefer the original. Frontier in Space is pretty good, but it ties up so fast because they're having to lead into Planet of the Daleks. That knocks it down a little bit. I like the story all the way up to the end. I wish Delgado's Master had a better exit, which, I mean, it's not their fault. At the time they filmed it, they didn't know that was going to be his last story. Since he sadly did pass away just a few months after broadcast. But I still wish just his final scene would have been a little better, a little more grandiose, majestic. And that kind of hurts it in retrospect. And again, the whole ending just feels a little rushed because it's trying to tie in and lead into Planet of the Daleks. Up to that point, though, I really liked it. But all of the other stories in this season, I really enjoy. I think The Green Death is amazing. It's a great exit for Joe. I love just how good the maggots look. The special effects, the practical effects on them hold up better than a lot of stuff being done today. In my opinion, they look really, really good. Some of the CSO is shoddy, and yeah, the bug thing that's flying around looks terrible. But the maggots look good, and it's a great companion exit. And the way the Third Doctor reacts to that at the end, how he does so much without actually saying anything when he leaves, and just the look on his face and the way they shoot that scene, it's just wonderful acting on Pertwee's part, wonderful directing, wonderful writing. It all of that comes together really well. And that last shot of the Doctor driving away to end not just the story but the season is mind-boggling. Of course, The Three Doctors is my favorite multi-Doctor story, and possibly my second favorite Pertwee story. Inferno is definitely my favorite Pertwee story, but I think Three Doctors might be my second favorite. I love Three Doctors so much. Troughton, of course, is stealing the show, as Troughton does. But just watching him and the Third Doctor bicker is hilarious, and the fact the First Doctor doesn't think much of either of them and puts them in their place, a very Hartnell thing to do. I'm especially learning. I enjoy all of that. I really like just seeing everybody, how they interact in the story. The Brigadier is a little caricaturish. I can't say that today. He's a little bit like a caricature in this. It's definitely not the Brigadier's best performance, and I don't put that on Nicholas Courtney. I think that's just the way he was directed in this. He doesn't come off quite as well as some of his other stories, but other than that, I really enjoy it. And I like Omega. He just looks like he's having just such a field day in that role, and his voice does. That's such an iconic voice that anytime he's voicing. Anytime Steven's voicing anybody else in it, I always think of Omega. It's such a booming voice. Works well for this role. And of course it has Carnival of Monsters, which is just an underrated gem. I think the Carnival of Monsters is one of those stories where classic Who fans, we know how amazing it is, but it's one of those the modern Who fans might miss out on, because I think some of the modern Who fans are just kind of the cliff notes of classic Who. So they just kind of see some of the more famous names they hear, and I feel like Carnival of Monsters might be one that gets lost in the shuffle. And it's a shame because it's amazing. I absolutely love Carnival of Monsters. Just everybody's putting in good performances, and I love the dressage. I can't talk today. Like, I can hear the word in my head, and I can't say it. The Drashics. I really like them. They're a cool concept. I think they're executed pretty well. I like the idea of the machine and the Doctor being trapped in it and him just being appalled by it. And just everything going on in it, I really, really enjoy it. Plus, it's nice to see Ian Marter in an early Doctor Who role. That's always nice. It's just a fun season. I need to see a couple stories from Season 9. I still need to see the Mutants and the Time Monster, which I hear are the weakest parts of the story. Which I believe, because I've enjoyed Season 9, what I've seen. I love the special edition of Day of the Daleks. I really enjoy Curse of Peladon, and I love the Sea Devils. They're all great. And I think it's just the other two, from what I hear, is going to pull it down. And then Season 11, I've only seen Death to the Daleks and Planet of the Spiders, so I still need to see Time Warrior, Dinos, and Monsters of Peladon, which I hear isn't as good as Curse of Peladon. And I've seen all of Season 8, but I like Seasons 7 and 10 more than I do Season 8. Season 8's really up and down for me, because I love Terror of the Autons. I love The Mind of Evil. I need to rewatch that soon. But I hate the Claws of Axos. I think I'm at the point I can actually just say I don't like the Claws of Axos. It has a couple things I like in it. Like the kind of FBI-like guy that's tracking the Master. I like him. And it's nice to see JLBWHO for the first time really having to work on the fly and improvise. He hasn't had time to plan everything out like he does in his first 2 stories. So it's kind of neat seeing how his Master reacts differently when he's having to work impromptu like that. That's pretty neat. But the actual story is crap, and I don't like it. Then there's Colony in Space, which is probably Pertwee's most underrated story. Most of you guys know I love Colony in Space. It's great. And then there's the Daemons, which is, I think, Pertwee's most overrated story, which is, it's still not a bad story. It's just not as good as people give it credit to be. But again, I'm in the States, so maybe I just don't connect with all the Celtic lore and stuff going on like I would if I was from the UK. Very possible. So yeah, I would say season 10 followed closely by season 7, just with Ambassadors dragging it down. So I would like to know what you think. What is your favorite Pertwee story? And if you want to list which one you think is the objective best, that's cool too. Those are 2 different things, so let me know down in the comments below, because I always enjoy interacting with you guys. Filming with some of the figures behind me today, a couple of my Super 7 Thundercat figures came in, and I'm really excited about it. You can't really see them right there, but my Monkeyan, one of the mutants, Monkeyan came in, and then one of my Thundercats came in, Linkso. Linkso is one of the Season 2 Thundercats. He's the older, blind one that showed up right at the beginning of Season 2. And of course, Monkeyan is one of the original mutants. I have all 3 of the original mutants now, Slythe, Monkeyan, and Jackalman. I'm waiting on my Wave 2 ones that went up for pre-order 2 years ago that are just now getting released because of factory issues with everything that's happened. And I have 3 of the 4 in that wave coming. I have Mum-Ra the Ever-Living. Oh, I've been waiting on that one. Tigra and Groon. And I've always liked Groon the Destroyer. So that's going to be nice to add them in. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Anyway, as I was saying, if you like what you have seen, I do have a Patreon. If you would like to contribute to that, there is a link to that down in the description below. If you'll take a minute to check that out, might be something there that interests you. I want to give a shout out to 2 of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane and the 5th Doctor. I appreciate their continued support. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything Doctor Who related you would like to send me to take a look at, that's down in the description, as is a link to my Amazon wish list as well, which I update regularly. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.